Hello and welcome back to more Films Under Constant Critique, where we take a look at films, some good, some bad, and some downright awful. I'm Bongo Baikov, joined by our host Maverick Drenzaria. This week we're taking a look at the 2008 film Rambo.
Yeah, okay. Let's start with the fucking title. It's the fourth movie, but it's called Rambo.
It's kind of like naming the sixth movie Rocky Balboa.
That should never be the case in a movie series, but for some reason, there's just sequels that
Yep.
like doing this for some reason. I don't know why. Like Final Destination, the fourth one's called The Final Destination, or
Isn't like the eighth Saw movie called Jigsaw?
I don't know, but I know there's one called like Saw, the final chapter, or like Saw 3D. I don't know. Fuck, what's the Fast and Furious? And
Yeah,
it's the fourth
one.
movie in the series. Fuck off. That should just never be the case with a movie series. Just call it Rambo 4.
Yeah.
Now, if they'd called it Fourth Blood, I mean, again, I'd have been fine with that. Now, the alternate titles, or in other words, the titles in like other countries, they make more sense because it was also known as John Rambo.
Okay.
Rambo 4, Roman numeral.
Okay. That one makes sense.
Or Rambo, The Fight Continues.
Eh.
They're better than just plain Rambo.
Fair.
But I guess having it say just Rambo makes it fit better on a marquee. I don't know. Okay,
That's a very good point.
Oh my god. I had to get that out of my system. Sorry.
At least it's not as bad as Kingdom Hearts.
Okay, yeah, you mentioned that earlier. Jesus fucking Christ. What, the ninth game called, like, Kingdom Hearts 3 or something? I don't fuck.
Well, there was, one of my favorites
don't even get into it, man. Just
I just want to list this one.
Oh,
the
God.
Kingdom Hearts 0.2 Birth by Sleep, a fragmentary passage.
Fuck me. Did Elon Musk name that one or something? Anyway. Okay. So, this movie was released on January 25th, 2008, which is almost 20 years after Rambo 3 came out.
That's a pretty big gap.
And that makes this the second biggest gap in sequels that we've done on this podcast. Because Fury Road still has it beat.
Oh, yeah.
30 years. Jeez. They waited a long time on that one. It cost about $50 million and made $113.2 million worldwide. But only $42 million of that was made domestically.
Oh, wow. I'm going to guess most of the revenue from international sales did not come from Burma.
No. We'll get into that later. And Sylvester Stallone himself directed this.
Oh, wow.
You didn't know that?
No, I didn't.
But, I mean, it makes sense. He directed 4 of the Rocky movies.
That's fair.
He directed Rocky 2, 3, 4, and Rocky Balboa. And he also directed the first Expendables movie.
Mm-hmm.
And Stallone himself, he was apparently unsure about directing the movie until he realized that he could direct it like it was directed by Rambo. Here's a quote from him. What if the film was directed by Rambo? What if the film had his personality? So I guess...
Oh, no.
That
actually explains a lot right there.
I guess that means of all the movies, this is the movie that's the most like Rambo.
Rambo, yeah.
I remember this actually might have been the first Rambo movie I ever heard of. I realized, because my parents, they used to rent, like, movies from Netflix. When they would send them in the mail. I don't know if you remember this.
Oh yeah. Well, actually, they still send them in the mail.
Oh, do they? Okay.
Yeah, and there's actually a bunch of movies you can get through there that you can't stream.
Huh. That's interesting. But yeah, this was one of them, and I remember like being like, "Oh, Rambo, that's an interesting title and cover," and they obviously wouldn't let me watch it because I'm like 9 or
Yeah.
10, and this is a really violent fucking movie. And I remember seeing the cover for it and thinking it was like some really like I was thinking it was like it took place in like a much earlier time period because I was thinking less modern day super soldier and more Genghis Khan
Yeah.
from that, you know. So it's like, oh, it's probably some really violent graphic historical film, which it kind of is. Kind of, but
Sort of. It could be argued.
I mean, it's about a real conflict.
Yeah.
But yeah. But I was imagining more like swords and stuff. But
Yeah.
anyway. Or bamboo sticks. Because it looks like he's holding like a club or something in that picture. But anyway.
So for the cast, we obviously have Sylvester Stallone returning.
He's still in shape, you know, in his 60s.
Yeah. Yeah.
As well as a bunch of people I don't know.
I guess the only real returning characters, quote unquote, are
Rambo.
Yeah, well, there's in a flashback scene we do get to see Troutman and Ko again.
Yeah, Ko. And I think like a few of the villains from the
Yeah.
other ones, like the guy he blows up with his explosive arrow in the second movie. Oh, there was one guy in the movie. The character, he felt like he was supposed to be played by Jason Statham.
Yeah.
You probably know which character I'm talking about, too.
I think I do, yeah.
The angry...
Yeah, the British guy.
Yeah. And apparently he played one of the dwarves in the Hobbit movies.
Really?
Which obviously I didn't recognize him because he doesn't have any of the facial hair, but...
Yeah.
It does make me really sad that Richard Crenna died before this movie came out, because honestly, I would have really loved to have seen him get angry at the villains in this movie, because good lord. Good lord.
Do you think the villains in this would let Troutman live long enough for him to lecture them on why Rambo's going to kill them all?
Probably not, no. They probably would have just killed him, yeah. Then again, the villains in the other ones didn't kill Troutman, so...
True. Oh, okay, hold on a second. So, earlier we had mentioned one of the actors who's an angry British man in this movie also played one of the dwarves in The Hobbit. Well, I just opened up his filmography.
Let me guess, he was in a video game.
Well, he's in a lot of it. He's in a lot of stuff, but the thing that stands out to me is he played Dracula in the Castlevania Netflix series.
The animated one?
Yeah.
Huh. That's interesting.
Which is a very, very good series.
But this movie, they got a different composer for this one because, unfortunately, Jerry Goldsmith passed away in 2004. Rest in peace. And instead we have Brian Tyler doing the music. And I think it's a pretty good score.
Yeah.
It's not as iconic as the original score, but I think it's a good score. It works for the movie.
Yeah, it works for the movie.
And he does include a few of the, like, motifs from the older movies. Like, It's a Long Road, the instrumental version of that is played in this movie. And this one went a much darker route than the second and third films.
It is a very, very dark movie. Like, as soon as it starts.
Yeah, and again, we'll get to that. Because this is focusing on actual issues going on in Burma.
Yeah.
And with this one, they could have easily played it safe and gone for like a PG-13 rating, like they did with Live Free or Die Hard. You know,
Yeah.
but instead they went the opposite direction with this, because
Yeah, no, this earns its R rating.
absolutely,
Very easily.
the violence is just at an insane level in this. Like, I find it funny that with each Rambo movie, things get more violent.
I was honestly surprised though at how big of a jump this took. Like, we'll get to this later, but the first time you see someone, like their head explodes when they get shot.
Yeah, there are quite a few head explosions in this movie, and legs getting like just
Yeah.
oh my god, but again, we'll get to... I mean, the previous Rambo movies, they had lots of guns, explosions, and kills, but there's not a lot of blood and guts in them. Whereas this one, it just has people exploding and stuff.
Yeah, and you see their guts flying around. There's always a red mist afterwards.
Because it's also filmed in more of a documentary style, too, I noticed, with the camera work and stuff. And Stallone, he apparently chose Burma because, for the setting. He talked to Soldier of Fortune magazine and the United Nations, and he asked them, what is the most underreported, most graphic, and devastating abuse of human rights on the planet? And both of them answered the civil war that was going on in Burma. So,
wow,
some really heavy subject matter in this one.
Yeah.
And I actually, when I was in college, I actually had to do a presentation with this guy who used to live in Burma.
Oh wow! Like, did he leave like around this time that like this would have been happening? Or...
And he was there during like some of this conflict that was going on, and we had to do a presentation on a non-profit organization to like help Burmese refugees like in America and stuff, and he was involved with that stuff. If I had known that this Rambo movie was connected to that, I might have asked him a bit about it, but yeah, because I didn't realize that there was that connection until like after I'd watched the movie and I was reading a bit more about it. I'm like, wait a second, like, because I'd forgotten about it. But yeah, okay, so getting to our initial thoughts. Now, I haven't seen this one as many times as the other Rambo movies, partly because I only own the first three on Blu-ray, and they're more entertaining to watch than this one, because this one's rather vicious. It's very definitely very extreme, has some uncomfortable moments.
Yeah.
I do really like this movie though, but like, I like that they went a more serious route. Like, of the movies, like 2 and 3 kind of strayed from the seriousness that the first movie had. And this one, I thought
it's almost like a course correction, like going back.
Yeah, kind of. And I think I did hear that part of why Stallone did this one is because he was unsatisfied with the second and third films. So that's part of why he did this one. The tone in this one is, again, very interesting.
It's a very dark tone.
Very inconsistent with the previous movies, but it's got 61-year-old Sylvester Stallone kicking ass. What's not to love?
He doesn't feel like he's 61 in this movie either.
Yeah, he's like... he doesn't really look or... Yeah, I mean, you can tell, yeah, he's older than he was in those other movies, but yeah, he's still, like, just, like, cutting people up and, like, shooting people with a machine gun. The ending is fucking nuts in the best way possible. And, again, this one does try to make Rambo a bit more like what he was like in the first movie.
Yeah, a bit more haunted, quieter.
He's more self-loathing and cynical in this one.
Yeah.
And I like, again, that they tried to explore the theme of him being reluctant to fight and while also knowing that that's the thing he's the best at.
Yeah. It definitely feels like...
It feels like a more logical conclusion than Rambo 3 did.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Like, Rambo 3 basically was like Rambo accepting he's a killer, and then it makes it sound like he's just gonna go off and have adventures slaughtering Russians for the rest of his life.
Well, not for the rest of his life, but slaughtering Russians until the end of the Cold War.
Yeah.
That is. I was. Did you have any initial thoughts on it, or?
Yeah, okay. I was waiting for you to get through yours because I was very interested to hear what your initial...
Basically, I
thoughts
really, really like it, and I respect the direction they went, but I don't have as much nostalgia for it as the first three movies.
So, as for me, we're going to do... I'm breaking this into two different parts. So, there was my initial impressions based off of that one commercial that I saw where they played Bodies by Drowning Pool.
Oh, that trailer is terrible.
Yeah, no, I saw that and I was prepared for garbage.
I actually rewatched that trailer after you mentioned it, and I was like, this is a terrible trailer. Like, it does not does not show like what the movie's like at all. It just looks like a really crappy direct to DVD action movie. Yeah. It looks terrible.
Well, then I actually watched the movie, and I almost watched it a second time immediately after finishing it. I honestly really, really liked this movie.
I'm glad you really, yeah. I was wondering like if the abrupt tonal shift would like put you off, or if you.
I feel like that's part of the reason why I liked it, because Rambo 3 was basically just like watching First Blood Part 2, but in a different country.
And with more budgets, like more money was thrown at it.
It felt like I was watching a different movie this time, which I definitely appreciated. I did like the darker tone. The violence gets to such a ridiculous point that it is still fun to see in certain scenes.
Yeah. Especially the ending.
Yeah, the end is what I'm thinking of.
The ending has stuck with me. Like, I remember the first time I saw, like, that's because he, like, just cuts a dude's head off, and there's, like, tons of blood. He's just shooting me. I remember the first time I saw it, I was like, holy shit. Like, just, just, I would have loved to have seen the reactions of, like, people in the theater when they first saw that, but yeah. Okay, so we can start getting into the recapping. I was put in a bit of a bad mood right at the start, though, because they show the Weinstein logo.
Yeah, it's very, very bold in front of everything, and you're like, oh, okay.
I know that we didn't know about that yet, but still, it's just...
It's jarring to see nowadays.
Is this the first movie we've done with that guy's involvement?
I'm fairly certain we've seen something else that he was involved with, but like the logo wasn't front and center, I don't think.
I don't know. Although thankfully this movie was just distributed by them. They had very little involvement with this movie besides that. I can't imagine like Weinstein himself going down to like Thailand where they were filming this, with them. But, yeah. And in fact, actually this movie was an independent film.
Oh, really?
I haven't had too many of those on the podcast, but yeah. And yeah, you already get an idea of what this movie's going to be like just from the opening, because they're showing actual footage of like the stuff going on in Burma, all the people getting oppressed and stuff, and it's really disturbing.
It's a very dark opening for the movie. It definitely sets the tone throughout.
I think it was smart to put that like at the beginning, because then people know, like, people have a better idea of what they're in for, because then the people that went to see, like, they're thinking like, oh, we're gonna get like superhero Rambo in this one, they'll
And
see the
that's
opening and then they're like, "Oh, this is a different tone that they're going
yeah,
for here." Huh?
it's a lot more serious. It's not okay. Well, it gets insane later on, but it's yeah, it takes itself more seriously. I
It's
would say.
very, very, yeah. And they say it's the longest running civil war in the world, which, Jesus. And then we immediately get a scene of, and then we get a scene of the scene they filmed for the movie. So the movie itself starts, where you got like soldiers like just they're shooting a bunch of people. They're having them run across a field with mines and stuff. There's like explosions and yeah, it gets it off to a really dark
Yeah,
start.
started.
Oh, and CGI blood. We get CGI blood in this movie. Um, and then we get Rambo. Yeah, and then Rambo shows up.
So he's just chilling out in Thailand again.
He's catching cobras.
Yep. And at one point, he also uses his bow to hunt for a fish, which is very impressive.
Yeah, he's in his 60s and he's still, just kicking ass. Yeah, he's a snake wrangler.
Yeah. Which is an
Why?
interesting
Because he's
occupation
Rambo,
for
and of
Rambo.
course he can do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I have written down here in my notes, why does Rambo want snakes?
It's for like
It's like a fighting ring thing?
something. I don't know exactly what was going on. Also,
It's
he has
strange.
a boat.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then, wait. So this means he's been in Thailand since because in the third movie he's also living in Thailand.
Yeah, so I guess he goes back sometime after Afghanistan.
And he's also not at because he was living at a monastery.
Yeah, now he's in some, like, village somewhere, it looks like.
Yeah. And we also get an idea of where his mind is at right now, because his first line in the movie is "fuck off," okay? Very yeah, he's in a very happy mood during this movie.
Yeah.
And then some missionaries show up and they want Rambo to take them upriver.
And understandably, Rambo does not want to go upriver because upriver is where Burma is.
That's something I was like wondering, because that's a really dumb idea to just go to, because they mentioned they're not bringing weapons.
Yeah, it's basically like a mission.
Yeah. But like considering like all the shit that's going on over there, I'm like thinking, are you?
Yeah.
I mean, oh, for fuck's sake!
It's like at least go with like some soldiers or something.
Yeah. And Rambo says to them, "You aren't changing anything, if you're not bringing weapons."
Yeah.
I'm like, he kind of has a point. And we also get an idea of his optimistic worldview, because he says, "Fuck the world."
Yeah. I honestly saw that and I immediately thought of Snake Plissken.
Same here, yes. I immediately thought of that. Rambo is basically Snake Plissken now. He's just
Yeah.
totally given up on humanity. And considering what's happened to him in these movies,
It's very understandable.
I'm not surprised. I mean, and at this point also, it's not really stated directly, but we can assume Trotman is dead at this point.
Yeah.
So maybe
Yeah.
that was the other thing.
Well, then also, this would have been after the U.S. invaded Afghanistan. That's got to be demoralizing.
Yeah, that too. They don't really mention that in this movie, but yeah, I would assume.
After Rambo declines to take the missionaries up, one of them, named Sarah, goes back to him to try and convince him. And he says no again.
Yeah, because Rambo's just a cold-hearted cynic at this point in his life.
I mean, also, to be fair, though, He doesn't want to sail into Burma. That's basically just asking to be killed.
That's also a good point. Yeah, I mean, why would you want to go to Burma? But he's also talking about, like, he doesn't think lives are that special, and he also is talking about how the world never changes, which, I mean, he's been through a lot of wars. I mean, I can kind of see. Considering the stuff he's been through, I can kind of understand where he's coming from. And also another thing I noticed about this movie, in this movie, the villains feel like an actual threat.
Yeah, it's not a silly guy putting on a fake Russian accent.
Yeah, like Steven Burkoff.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, they're not just cardboard stand-ups for Rambo to just knock down, they're like actually hurting people, and the scenes of them hurting people are very disturbing.
They're brutal.
Yeah. But then Rambo, he eventually agrees to take them upriver, which, okay, that's a little abrupt.
But he does lay down some rules, which is basically whatever I say you have to listen to.
And he doesn't accept payment for it either.
Yep.
Yeah. Rambo's such a nice guy. And they're talking but Sarah's like trying to talk to Rambo, trying to get him to open up a bit. And this is where we learn his father might be alive.
I'm in Bowie, Arizona.
Yeah. But apparently he was just not curious to go back home.
Yeah, this is the first mention of Rambo's dad, I think, in the whole series.
Any of his family members.
Yeah.
We get I don't know if you watched Last Blood yet, but we get more, like,
I have not yet.
A little bit more of that, like, so that's why you didn't want to do it today. Because you hadn't watched it yet.
Yes.
And while they're going at the river, they meet some pirates. Wait a second, this seems kind of familiar. Rambo meeting river pirates? The last time Rambo was on a boat, things didn't go well.
No.
So I have really low expectations for this encounter, but yeah.
It's pretty brutal. They feel like villains.
And this is also happening at night, too.
Yep. I will say, so, the pirates there are speaking, they're speaking in Burmese, and it's subtitled, and they just keep calling them, they call everybody a fool.
Yeah.
And it just kept reminding me of Mr. T.
No, I don't hate Balboa, but
I pity the fool.
I pity the fool. Oh gosh, imagine this movie with Mr. T.
That's the Rambo movie I'm waiting for.
Do you have any predictions for the fight? Prediction? Pain.
So Rambo basically tells everyone to keep their eyes down. Don't look the pirates in the eye or they will kill us.
They notice Sarah and they want her brought forth because, won't get into that.
And so in order to protect her, Rambo does pull out a pistol and kills all the pirates, where we get to see their heads explode.
Yeah, but it's a little dark, so you can't see too much of it.
But there's just a huge, splash of blood that you see, though, when the first guy gets shot.
It is a lot of blood, yeah, but it's very... Compared to what we get later, it's very minor. And one guy, he's appalled at Rambo's violence. He's saying, we're here to stop the killing.
Rambo's not happy about this ingratitude towards saving their lives. And despite Rambo's wishes, Sarah convinces them to go forward.
They're well-meaning. They're trying to, be peaceful, but still, when you're in a fucking war zone, it's, they're not exactly handing out candy canes over there. I mean, And I was also noticing Rambo drops way more F-bombs in this movie than in the first three.
Yeah,
Because, I mean,
yeah,
he does say it a few times in the first one, and then the second one he has one, you know. The third one has probably my favorite one, where he just says, fuck them, right before they go to
yeah,
fight the Russians. Yeah, there's quite a few. There's, again, probably just to emphasize, he's gotten really angry,
yeah. He's very jaded by this point.
but again, it's more understandable than, say, Last Jedi, cough, cough. Uh, and then he says he's gonna take them back. Again, I mean, you have no idea what you're getting into here, you know.
Yeah. But Sarah objects, and so Rambo decides to take them the rest of the way.
Which this is about the point of the movie where I was like realizing, you know, Rambo is surprisingly easy to persuade.
Very, very much so.
Because I was like wondering, were there like scenes that were cut? And apparently, the extended cut, there were a few scenes towards the beginning of like the missionaries like coming back to try and get Rambo to go along again, and I was like, oh, okay, this at least like shows a little bit more of a progression than just one scene and then okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder how would have Troutman changed the situation?
Oh, that's true, yeah. If Trotman came along with Rambo.
Rambo, we need you to go into Burma with these missionaries. And then Rambo would have said no.
Yeah, he would have been like, no, sir, I can't do that. My war's over. And then Trotman's like, Rambo, the movie can't continue unless you go with them.
Damn it, Rambo, you're a killer. You always have been. Okay, I'm gonna walk away, and then 5 minutes later, you'll change your mind.
Remember that story I told you about the sculptor?
Well, I'm gonna tell it to you again if you don't go.
He carved out a statue. Oh, you know the thing. But yeah, something about coming full circle.
Rambo, did you ever hear the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
No, sir, I don't think you did. Well, it's not a story the Jedi Council would tell you.
It's not a story the United States government would tell you.
Okay, so um, I can do this all day.
Just rewrite the entire prequel trilogy with Troutman as Sidious.
Troutman as Sidious. He kind of is Darth Sidious. He's like trying to lead Rambo to the dark side.
Exactly.
Instead of going to the dark side, he's coming full circle. And Trotman, I guess Trotman's kind of the Mickey to Rambo's Rocky.
Yeah.
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 The guy that trained him and stuff, but yeah.
Anyway.
Nothing is over. Nothing. You just don't turn it off. Okay, so. And again, the missionaries, they're mad at Rambo because he killed people.
He killed pirates.
Oh my god!
Who would have guessed in a Rambo movie we see Rambo shoot somebody?
Yeah, what do you expect? He's fucking Rambo! I mean, they're like talking about they think taking a life is never right. They want to report this incident.
Which is pretty rude.
I mean, he probably did violate a few, like, international laws, but...
Oh, he definitely did, but he saved their life at the
True,
same time.
Yeah. They're not really being very grateful for him saving them. At this point, maybe Rambo should just be like, fuck him, and just let him die. I don't know. Just leave him. Just be like, okay, you idiots, just go in there. Oh, I guess that's kind of what he does.
Yeah, well, they tell him that they have another way back and that they don't need Rambo to wait for him, and so they send him on his way.
Okay, he didn't just strand him to die out in the Burmese jungles. But yeah, he lets them off the boat. They walk through the jungles of Burma and they find a village. And during this, Rambo finds the pirate's boat pours gas on it, and lights it on fire, destroying the evidence right there.
Yep.
Or he could have just pulled out like a memory neuralizer and just, if there were any witnesses. Oh, speaking of Men in Black, I don't know if you ever noticed this. When they're showing that screen with like all the aliens on it, they're like hiding among humans. Like one of the people up on the screen is Sylvester Stallone.
I've not noticed that before.
George Lucas is up there.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Steven Spielberg is, I think, like Newt Gingrich was up there. But yeah, I find that really funny though that Stallone was one of them.
Yeah.
We get a very, very fucked up scene where the village is getting attacked.
Yeah, that one was brutal.
Yeah, there's just people getting blown apart. It goes by really fast, but if you look closely, it's gruesome.
Yeah. There's a guy that shoots a kid at one point.
They're like bayoneting children. Yeah, it's fucked up. Like, again, it's just these guys are really evil. I mean, jeez, you know. There's like limbs getting hacked, flamethrowers. Yeah. It's just, it almost becomes overkill. Like, it's just,
oh, it's definitely overkill. Like, it's a lot that happens. A lot of people explode.
Honestly, there might be more kills in this scene than in the first 3 Rambo movies. Like, so many people fucking die in just this scene.
I will say, it's not the most amount of children I've seen die in a movie.
What was the most? Like, Danger, Children at Play or something? Fuck off! I'm editing that out. Fuck you.
There's like 50 kids that get shot at one point.
I had a feeling you were gonna mention that, but I shouldn't have asked. God damn it. There we go. I got you back.
God.
Anyway, which will both be bleeped out. I don't know how closely you follow these podcasts, but whenever like certain movies get mentioned, they get bleeped out.
That's fair enough.
Got mentioned like once on the podcast, and I bleeped it out. Just, yeah.
Anyway, so the Burmese come and destroy this village and kidnap the Americans.
Yeah, because, well, that's what happens when you don't take Rambo along.
Yep. Well, then here's a great question. Why did they kidnap the Americans? Why didn't they just blow them up like everybody else?
Yeah, just kill them. Yeah, why didn't they just kill them? Huh. That's a good point. They're just killing everybody else indiscriminately. So. Not just the men, but the women and the children too. That's basically what that scene is.
Yes. That is exactly what that scene is.
Oh my god. Just Anakin going to town on Tusken Raiders and stuff.
So, sometime after
speaking of
this
Rambo,
happens,
he's alone on the boat.
Yep.
And he's having flashbacks.
Yep, and I actually really liked this scene.
This scene is really good, yeah.
Because it ended up taking bits from the first 3 movies and showing how it really affected Rambo.
Yeah.
Just being put through all those different experiences.
It was a really good callback.
It was. It was very visually interesting, too.
Because it's in black and white and stuff. And
yeah.
Very well edited, too.
Yeah. This is also where we get to see Troutman and co.
Yeah, and also they included the alternate ending to First Blood.
Oh, really?
The delete scene where Rambo kills himself. They include that in there.
Huh. I'm going to have to rewatch that scene.
I like that scene is in there because the other sequels didn't really focus on his PTSD.
Yeah.
So this kind of shows that he's still really haunted by his past and stuff. Especially, I just I would especially think like Ko dying would really fuck him up,
Yeah.
and obviously the torture in the POW camp. Yeah, he wakes up because a guy calls his name.
And he basically says that the missionaries never came back.
Yeah, he's a pastor. I don't know. I guess he's just with whatever church the missionaries were.
Yeah. Apparently it's a Colorado church.
And he basically serves the same purpose that Kurtwood Smith had in the third movie.
Yes, to tell him, hey, your friends, even though I guess they're not really his friends, but those people you were with, they're gone. Save them, please.
They drew first blood, not me. And yeah, he wants Rambo to lead a group of mercenaries to go rescue them. Because I guess this church has mercenaries.
Apparently, they know where to hire mercs, including a very angry British man.
Including a very angry British man, yep. Who is sort of like Jason Statham, but we'll get to that.
And so Rambo agrees to take him in his boat.
Before that scene, we get a really cool monologue. Rambo's like pounding a machete, like,
Oh yeah,
because he makes his own machetes apparently, which is pretty fucking awesome. I mean, he's Rambo, of course he does. He's like giving this monologue about how he's war is in your blood.
yeah. Very similar to kind of what Troutman was telling him.
Yeah.
In the third movie.
You didn't kill for your country, you killed for yourself. And a really good line here where he says,
when you're pushed, killing's as easy as breathing.
Which, that's Rambo, I mean,
Yeah.
Don't push it, or I'll give you a war you won't believe. And come to think of it, it sort of reminds me of a line from Rocky 4, where he's talking to Adrian, and he's talking about how, I'm a fighter, that's how I'm made,
Yeah. It's interesting that Stallone plays two characters whose entire drive in their life is fighting in some fashion.
Yeah. In very different areas, though, obviously.
Yeah.
But again, it's also a case of, they fight because that's really the only thing they're good at,
Yeah.
And yeah, then we meet the mercenaries, and these mercenaries are fucking assholes.
Especially their lead, angry British man.
Yeah, Jason Statham knockoff. He uses fuck in every other sentence, like he's out of like a Martin Scorsese gangster movie. He fit in really well in the movie Goodfellas or Casino.
Yeah.
And they don't seem to actually care about the people they were hired to save either. Like, it seems like they're just doing it because they're getting paid for it.
And okay, I know I've complained a lot already about Angry British Man. But man, just the way he interacts with Rambo is so infuriating.
It is kind of funny, though. I'll admit, it is kind of funny. But yeah,
you're just waiting the whole time for Rambo to put him in his place.
To, like, slap him upside the head or something. Because that's another thing. Rambo's, like, not even talking to them.
No, he's sitting in the back, steering the boat.
He's just like, great, I gotta hang out with these fucking idiots. It's like Dr. Evil, he's just like, I'm surrounded by frickin' idiots.
I'm surrounded by frickin' idiots.
And there's like one part where the angry British man, we'll just call him that, angry British man, he says to Rambo, did you say something? And Rambo's just not even talking, he's just...
Yeah, he's just staring at him. There's another scene where Lewis, Angry British Man, is talking to Rambo,
Angry British man.
He's like, those God squatters, they come over here spouting all that shit. They expect the whole world to start working like their fucking neighbor. Well, it doesn't. So they send in the devil, and then he points at himself when he says that. Like he's calling himself the devil.
Your impression of him honestly sounded like Crocodile Dundee. Oh man, there's a crossover. Crocodile Dundee and Rambo.
Dundee and Rambo.
Yeah.
Rambo Sixth Blood.
The second Crocodile Dundee movie does kind of turn into First Blood towards
What?
the end a little bit.
What?
Because they're like trying to chase Crocodile Dundee in the Australian outback, and he's like setting up traps and stuff.
I would not have expected that out of a Crocodile Dundee sequel.
The second one's weird.
It sounds like it.
The second one, it's like they were trying to make him into like an action star or something. Because there's like barely any comedy in it compared to the first one, yeah. And then the third one, Crocodile Dundee in Los Angeles, it's just another fish out of water like comedy, like the first one was. But yeah, except he's like in like Hollywood and stuff. Rambo meets Crocodile Dundee. I'd imagine most of it would just be Rambo just staring at him.
Yeah,
while he's like trying to make conversation with him.
So eventually they reach the shore where Rambo had previously dropped off the missionaries.
The angry British guy, he's like mad at how slow the boat is moving, which again,
oh yeah, constantly he's like, get the boat moving.
What an ungrateful ass. Like, just seriously. But yeah, okay, what were you saying?
So Rambo ends up reaching the point where he dropped off the missionaries, and all the mercs depart, where they find out that the rebellion only sent 2 people for them to meet with.
Yeah. One of whom is a kid.
Yep.
And they realize they have to face hundreds of guys.
By themselves.
Which will be no problem since Rambo is with them, except they want him to stay on the boat.
They're not very bright, are they?
I mean, okay. I get it. He's an old guy now, but he's fucking Rambo! I mean, why wouldn't you?
You would think at least somebody would brief these people on who... Oh, I guess they can't since Troutman's dead. That's probably who Troutman would have been interacting with, the mercenaries.
Oh, I would have loved to see Troutman interacting with the angry British guy.
Angry British guy would have actually tried to kill Troutman.
He basically would have given him that monologue that he had in the first movie where he's like saying, you don't seem to realize you're dealing with an expert, in guerrilla warfare. A man who's the best with guns, with knives, with his bare hands. But anyway. Yeah, they just want him to stay on the boat.
Can you imagine if that's how the movie played out?
They would have been fucked. They would have been fucked. They would have been so fucked if they'd done that. And this was one problem I will say that I do have with the movie. I think the mercenary characters are very interchangeable.
Yeah. The only one that sticks out is Angry British Man because he is angry.
Yeah, he's basically just, the angry, obnoxious guy that was probably supposed to be played by Jason Statham, but they couldn't get Jason Statham, so they got a different angry British guy.
Yeah.
I guess he was too expensive, I don't know. And again, the mercenaries, they're just there for the money.
Yeah. They're not there for any altruistic reasons like Rambo.
They're like trying to leave, but then they're like, wait a minute. They don't have a choice. They took the money already.
Yeah.
Wow, what a motivation. These characters are likable. I hope they survive. We get another scene of people running across a field with landmines.
And this is where Rambo makes his big ol' introduction.
Yeah. And then Rambo shows up and starts shooting arrows. One guy gets shot through the head. He gets another guy in the leg, and he tries limping away before getting a shot in the head, flipping over, and landing onto a landmine.
Yeah.
Again, overkill. That honestly feels more like a kill that would have been in Rambo 3.
It kind of does, but some of the other stuff with the arrows gets pretty gruesome. Like, there's a guy that gets shot in the leg, and he's limping away, and then he gets shot through the back of the mouth.
Yeah, that one was pretty graphic, yeah. But yeah, so they're trying to leave the, just because they're assholes, but
Yeah.
Rambo gives another great monologue. He holds an arrow to the bald guy's face, which, dude, I mean,
And this is like the first time we've seen this guy get shaken is when Rambo's pointing an arrow at him.
I mean, he does kind of deserve it, but still, he's aiming an arrow directly at the guy's face.
Yeah. At the guy who's supposed to be the leader of the mission.
Yeah, and he gives this monologue. He says,
And there isn't one of us that doesn't want to be someplace else. But this is what we do. Who we are. Live for nothing. Or die for something.
Wasn't that also used as the tagline?
I think it was, yeah, somewhere.
It's a really good line.
It is, yeah. There's several good lines in this. That's probably the most memorable one right there.
Yeah.
They decide, okay, let's, I guess we don't have a choice. We got this crazy, guy with a bandana and bow and arrow who's gonna kill us, so we should probably listen to him. And they get inside the back of a car, and it's really dark and rainy, so something dramatic is about to happen.
And we get what is becoming a running theme whenever we talk about these movies. We get my favorite scene, which is the stealth scene.
Okay.
Because it's basically, it's Rambo trying to lead the people around the camp, trying to find where they're holding the missionaries and trying to get them out of the village.
Yeah, basically. While it's really dark and rainy and stuff. Very well shot, too, I gotta say. Like, you can still tell what's going on, even though it's really dark.
Yeah.
Unlike in AVPR.
Let's make it so dark they can't see how bad the movie is.
Oh, wait, there's an idea for a crossover. Alien versus Predator versus Rambo.
Versus Rambo.
It'd basically just be the first Predator movie, but then there's also aliens in it.
While we're at it, let's just throw in versus Freddy versus Jason, too. See how that turns out.
Rambo versus Freddy Krueger. Welcome to prime time, bitch! Not on my time. Shoots him. Yeah. And there's also a weird rave party going on outside.
Yeah, it's like they have a bunch of dancers that are inside this hut, which is why none of the soldiers are out and about.
Like, what the fuck is going on there? It was weird. I think there was like sex trafficking or something going on there. It was bizarre. Oh, and speaking of sex trafficking, the next Rambo movie.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I don't know how much you know about the plot of that movie.
I've heard the basics of the plot.
Okay. And Rambo, he finds Sarah just as she's about to be assaulted, and we get a pretty gruesome but pretty badass scene right here. He rips the guy's fucking neck open.
It goes on for so long too. Like he holds it, you see the blood start to seep out. And then half a minute later he finally just rips it open.
It's so gruesome too. Like, holy shit.
It's like I don't remember him doing anything like that in the previous movies.
That's more like a Mortal Kombat fatality than a Rambo kill.
I'm pretty sure that is his fatality in Mortal Kombat, if I remember correctly.
Oh, yes. Yes.
He probably also stabs him like 50 times with an arrow beforehand, but I very much remember him ripping out the person's throat.
Rips out the dude's throat. Which there's a part of me that almost wants to go, okay, that's a little ridiculous. But I mean, Stallone's hands do look like throat-ripping hands.
Yeah.
And I was noticing Stallone's not doing as many crazy stunts in this like he was.
No,
in the
he's
first
not
three.
running around a cave. He's not really fist fighting anyone.
He's not climbing up a mountain with no shirt on like he did in the third movie. But again, he was in his 60s when he made this. But
Yeah.
still in pretty good shape, though. I mean, he has his shirt on. He doesn't really take his shirt off in this movie.
Yeah, you're right.
That's kind of a new for a Rambo movie. But,
Again, it's probably because he's like 61.
61, yeah. It's not a Rambo movie unless he doesn't have a shirt on. They get away while being pursued by soldiers. There's so many fucking characters in this movie. It's just, can't keep track of the names of all of them. Like, I literally don't remember most of the names.
Yeah, the mercs all blend together.
I think the missionary, like, one of them's named Sarah and one of them's named Michael.
I think so, yeah. Because Sarah's the girl, and I think Michael was like the head of the mission.
Wait, Sarah's a girl's name? I didn't know that. Yeah, and the mercenaries especially, their personalities just aren't too distinct.
Yeah.
And they're not really played by actors I recognize, so that might be part of it, but anyway. Rambo tells the guy to fire off a shot, I guess just to distract the soldiers.
Yeah, I think it was to lure the soldiers to that location.
We get shots of Rambo running around in the jungle. You know where you are? You're in the jungle, baby. You're gonna die.
And it's basically like putting him right back into his element.
Yeah, this one definitely... again, it's nice seeing Rambo in a jungle again. It's been since the second movie.
Yeah.
It just seems like Rambo's natural habitat right there. It's just running around the jungle, slicing people up with a machete and blowing shit up. Yeah. And speaking of blowing shit up, he sets up a bomb which goes off and knocks down a bunch of trees and also kills a bunch of guys.
Yeah.
And again, we get CGI, which some of it looks a bit dated, but it's excusable.
Yeah. It's good enough. It gets the point across.
And it's a pretty cool scene, too. I mean, Rambo blowing shit up is always fun.
Yeah.
Burmese soldiers, they capture the mercenaries and kick them while they're down. And the angry British guy, he's still just, I like how he's just taunting their leader.
Yeah.
I mean, he has guts. I can't really, but still, that's
he hasn't really added anything to the mission by being there, though.
That's kind of a stupid thing to do, though, when you're right near the main villain of the movie.
Yeah.
And again, I couldn't help but think this part Jason Statham had to have been considered for this part.
Yeah.
Maybe it would have worked better, too, if Jason Statham was in that part. But anyway. Off in the distance, there's the sniper guy and Sarah, and they're not sure what to do.
Because Rambo's not there to lead them.
Everybody's surrounded, they've just, seems like they're fucked. And then Rambo shows up, and this shot, like when he when it basically signals that he's arrived, like there's like the it's like kind of blurry behind like the guy's shoulder.
Yeah.
And then Rambo's head like rises up, and that music cue that plays, it's just perfect. It is fucking perfect. Like it just signals Rambo's here. He's gonna fuck some guys up in a jungle now. Which he does. He like cuts the guy's head off with a machete. He finds a machine gun on a turret, and this scene is just insane.
He just annihilates everything.
And one thing I read, I mentioned this in the First Blood podcast, that Rambo was based on an actual war hero, about a little bit, Audie Murphy. One of the things that Audie Murphy was famous for in World War II was he got control of a gun turret and just shot a bunch of people down on his own, kind of like what Rambo does in this scene.
Oh, yeah.
And what's cool is actually there was a movie called To Hell and Back. It was a movie based on Audie Murphy's wartime experience, and who did they get to play Audie Murphy? The actual Audie Murphy.
What?
I'm not kidding.
That's actually awesome.
I mean, who are you gonna get to play one of the most decorated war heroes of all time? The actual
war hero. Wow.
And that ending apparently inspired this scene.
Huh.
Because he's just shooting a bunch of guys with a machine gun, and it's so bloody. Like, there's so much blood.
It's
like,
just insane.
Legs are coming off, like, people are getting holes, like, just blown into them. Just the editing and camera work in this scene is incredibly nauseating.
It's constructed in a way to just deliver as much carnage as fast as it can.
Although I did read that is an accurate depiction of what that type of machine gun would do to a human body, so...
Yeah, I'd imagine it's a pretty big gun.
Yeah. This makes the opening of Saving Private Ryan look like a quiet walk in the park. Like, it's just relentless.
It is so extreme.
Then some rebels show up to fight. Rambo 3, anyone? Which, that was another thing. They were trying to make this a little more realistic by having Rambo go in with other soldiers.
Yeah.
Too. He's not just a one-man army in this one, but he
kind of turns into one at the end.
Did I mention this is my favorite scene in the movie? You're probably not surprised by that, but like every time the first thing I think of when I think of this movie is just this insane scene with just Rambo gunning people down with a machine gun. Just, oh my god. And like when I first saw this, I mean, I'd seen a bunch of like R-rated movies and stuff, so I was kind of, I was used to seeing like blood and stuff, but this was another level.
It's a lot. It is
another
lot.
level. Like, you don't usually see this much in like a action movie, you know? And some people get hit with a flamethrower on a boat. Rambo gets shot and almost falls off the turret, but he keeps shooting. Keeps shooting. How much fucking ammunition does he have? Jesus.
Apparently, I think the whole boat's just full of ammo. That's its only purpose.
And there's also one part, a guy gets his head shot off and blood splats on the camera. It's madness. Like,
it's so nuts. It puts Rambo 3 to shame.
Again, I would have loved to have, like, seen reactions of people seeing this in the theater, because I bet they went fucking crazy during this scene. And during this, the leader tries running away. Just because, I mean, I don't
how do you
him.
fight
Rambo
that?
just showed up.
Yeah.
Rambo just showed up and obliterated a bunch of people, you know? But before he can get away,
Rambo pops up behind him and disembowels him.
That might honestly be my favorite kill in any of the Rambo movies. That part is awesome.
It is so insane.
And that guy did get called a gutless fuck earlier, and now he literally is one.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's very fitting. Oh man, Rambo in this one is just... It's like he gets more and more badass with each movie. You know?
He's like a fine wine. He only gets better with age.
It's the same with like Jason. Like the more
Yeah.
movies that get added, like Jason just gets more and more badass. You know? And that is the end of this insane climax. I mean, could you ask for a better climax?
It's just absolutely nuts.
But we gotta have some denouement. God, imagine if the credits just rolled right there.
I mean, I saw that Turkish kung fu movie, The Sword and the Claw, and that's basically how they end that movie. I'm pretty sure he like guts the villain, and then the credits start rolling immediately after.
Yeah, because how are you gonna top that?
Yeah.
Or like that one Chuck Norris movie, Invasion USA, he just blows up the main villain with
Yeah.
a rocket launcher, and then the credits roll. Because again, you're not gonna be able to top that.
Yeah.
Oh god, what would have been hilarious with this movie is if they had that that title card from the end of Miami Connection
Yeah.
placed right there. It says like, only through the elimination of violence can we achieve world peace.
That would have been the perfect thing to put at the end of this movie.
Right after Rambo just cuts it in half, basically. He almost cut that dude in half right there. Oh my god.
Oh, that's how they should have ended it.
But no, again, we gotta let the audience relax a little bit.
Yeah.
The missionaries are all okay. Okay.
They even save Angry British Man.
They saved the angry British man, yep. The music swells, of course, you know. They're hugging, of course. Rambo just stands there.
Yeah, like what else is he gonna do?
I feel like Rambo should stop going on vacations.
They never turn out well for him.
Every place he goes, he ends up blowing it to smithereens.
I mean, Thailand's okay for now.
Yeah, Thailand's okay. Yeah. Yeah. And just when you think the movie is over, nothing is over. Nothing. You just don't turn it off.
We then cut to Bowie, Arizona.
Yeah, Rambo is dressed like he was in the first one.
Yep, walking down a highway just like the first one.
Because he doesn't have the bandana on.
Yep.
His hair is long again. He's wearing the same army outfit he was wearing in the first one. Yeah, I think he's even carrying the same, like, pack that he was carrying in the first one. But yeah. And he just walks up to this horse ranch and finds a mailbox that says R. Rambo on it.
And so it's implied that Rambo's gone seeking out his father who lives on a ranch.
Is it Robert Rambo, Ricardo Rambo, Rufus T. Rambo? I do know the actual answer, by the way. Apparently it's Revis Rambo.
Oh, that's an interesting name.
Because they show, like, the grave in the next one. It's Revis Rambo. Yeah. And his mom's name was Helga, apparently.
Huh. I guess they didn't mention he was German and Indian descent.
Yeah, Native American.
Yeah.
Navajo, I think. Oh, and there's also an instrumental of It's a Long Road playing again.
Yep.
And I think this ending would have been a good send-off for the series.
Yeah, it's another, it's not exactly happy, but it is Rambo trying to get some sort of resolution, some sort of peace
Yeah, he goes
that he
back to
hasn't gotten
America,
before.
back to his parents' house. I mean, whether they're still there or not, we don't find out until the next one. But
Yeah.
oh, and this is also the first Rambo movie where there isn't a song played during the end credits.
Yeah, it's true.
It's the score. I mean, how do you write a song for this movie? Oh gosh, just have Peace in Our Life play again. Gosh, or reading Rambo. Okay, so getting to our that would have been a good ending if this had been the last movie of the series, but it's not.
Yeah. It was for a while.
It was,
but...
yeah. I honestly thought this would be the last one until like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So overall thoughts.
I really like this movie.
I do too. Yeah. I don't like it as much as the first three. That might change though. If I go back to this one more and watch it more, it might, because after thinking about it, I was like thinking there's a lot of really good stuff here.
Yeah.
Like, there's a part of me that was like thinking maybe this is the best one. I don't know, but it's a really good movie actually.
It is. After talking about it, I honestly think I would put this in second.
After First Blood.
Yeah, after First Blood.
First Blood has a better supporting cast. I think that might be.
Yeah.
Which that is one of my problems with the supporting characters.
Yeah, they're not very good.
Like they're okay. But it's mainly the mercenaries. They just kind of don't stand out to me.
Yeah, they're not very good.
Having Rambo interact with missionaries is interesting though, because they're just seeing this contrast between a more violent, cynical worldview and a more peaceful, pacifistic one. That's kind of an interesting change of pace. Instead of just angry cops or the Viet Cong or
the Soviets.
That's Soviets, yeah. Which reminds me, where are those missiles? Gosh. Tone-wise, this thing is a weird beast for me.
It's a dark movie, and then it goes just completely overboard when it comes to gore. It's kind of
funny that this one actually tried to be a real movie.
Yeah.
Like, it tried to be very serious and have real subject matter while also being gratuitously violent.
Yeah.
It's this combination between, like, combining actual atrocities with over-the-top action. The body count in this one, I think, is
through the roof.
I think it's even higher in this one than in the previous movies. It's insane.
I could see that. Especially just with the slaughter at the end.
Rambo, like, kills... I wrote it down. He kills 254 people over the course of the movie. And that's more than he did in the other movies.
Yeah.
Like, combined, I think.
That's a very impressive kill count.
The next one, unfortunately, does not have as many, but... And again, I don't have as much of a soft spot for this one as I do for the first three Rambo movies, but I do really, really enjoy it. Like, I was honestly, before recording this, I was like thinking, maybe I should just rewatch this one again. Because it's on Netflix, I could just...
Yeah. Yeah, I will say, I was very surprised at how much I liked the movie.
Because again, the trailers gave you the wrong impression.
Definitely.
Because they never play that song in this movie.
Can you imagine if that was like the end credit song as Rambo was walking into the ranch? It's a very different tone. Rambo's going there to kill his father.
would have made more sense if he's like, if it's like a scene where he's like running through the jungle, like with the scene with the bomb,
The mowing him down with the machine gun.
Oh god, that would have been insane.
Yeah.
It is nice seeing Stallone back for
Yeah.
what we thought would be the last time as his second most iconic character. And that's really one of the biggest appeals for me with this movie is I think Stallone's performance is really good in this.
It is.
Probably his second best performance as Rambo, honestly, after First Blood.
Yeah. I think I'd agree with that from what I've seen so far.
It's a more tortured performance, like, again, there's more of the self-loathing going on and, like, PTSD. You can tell, he's very reluctant to get into conflict again. And there's actual stakes in this movie, too. Like, the villains in this, they aren't like over-the-top cartoon characters.
They feel like real villains that exist in this world.
I do wish Richard Crenna had been in this. You know?
Yeah, it would have been interesting to see the kind of role he would have played.
It was unavoidable, though, because he died before the movie came out. And again, we don't have Rambo running around with no shirt on. That's always an important element in these movies.
Yeah.
But for all it has some faults, but it's not boring.
No.
It's definitely not boring. It's parts of it were intense. Parts of it were a little ridiculous. But again, that's about what you expect from a Rambo movie at this point. You know?
And it's very much a welcome change of pace for the series.
I am totally okay with them going to more serious because as much as I love Rambo 3, I can't imagine them doing another one like that.
Yeah.
That would have been a bit too much, you know. I think it was fine for them to, you know, go, okay, you know, it was fun to do Rambo 3, go really over the top, but let's
make it serious. Let's make a real movie.
Let's make it a little more serious, yeah, and just that ending is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Like, that's got to be one of the most memorable shootout scenes in the past 20 years.
It's just so insane and over the top.
It's nuts, but again, that's what I want out of a Rambo movie. You know, I like for the scenes where Rambo just goes completely just crazy and just kills a bunch of motherfuckers. And yeah, also, you know, having it set in the
like
Burma setting was also very interesting because it wasn't like a very reported conflict at the time too. So it was kind of like what Stallone was doing with the third one, where he was trying to shed light on a kind of underreported conflict.
Yeah.
I don't really know. I don't know. It's hard. That's the thing with the Rambo movies. It's really hard for me to rank them because
it is because
I really enjoy them.
They're all really enjoyable movies.
I'm never disappointed when I watch a Rambo movie. You know, it's really hard to. Although a lot of people don't like the third one, I know that, and the fifth one. There's a lot of people that don't like the fifth one, but we'll get to that one. I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on the next one. You kind of alluded to this earlier, but the movie was banned by the Burmese government.
Yep. I figured as much.
This movie was, however, heavily bootlegged in Burma.
Huh.
And became very popular with Burmese rebel fighters. Some rebels in Burma distributed the movie and even took lines from the movie like "live for nothing or die for something" and made them into battle cries.
Huh.
Stallone called it one of the proudest moments I've ever had in film.
Yeah, that's pretty when you're covering a war and then people take inspiration from your work. That's got to feel pretty good.
Yeah. And I was like wondering like would people be like offended by like some of the like violence in the movie or not? But apparently they apparently really liked it and were inspired by it, so I'm like, "Oh, that's cool." I could not find Roger Ebert's review for this movie. But I did find Leonard Maltin's review.
Oh yeah. Let me guess.
Remember what he gave the other ones. He gave First Blood 1.5. First Blood Part 2 he gave 2. Rambo 3 he gave 2.5.
Well, I'm gonna follow the pattern. I'm gonna follow the pattern and say 3.
You thought he gave it a 3?
Yeah.
To quote Lex Luthor in Superman Returns, wrong!
Darn. Did he give it a 1.5?
Yes.
Come on, man.
He called Stallone long in the tooth. I mean, I think he looks fine for being in his 60s.
Yeah.
And said it was needlessly bloody and unintentionally laughable. Okay, there are a few of the violent scenes that I could kind of see that for.
Yeah, him decapitating the guy, for example.
Or when he pulls the guy's throat open.
Yeah, that one too.
But yeah, he was not impressed, though. Oh well. Granted, was Stallone trying to impress Leonard Maltin when he made this?
I'm just excited to hear how many Razzie nominations this thing got.
None, actually. This didn't.
Wow, really? They took pity on him this year.
They did. Yeah, they didn't get any for this one apparently. The actor who played the main villain was a former Karen freedom fighter.
Huh.
And was reluctant to accept the role as he was afraid his family would be in danger from the Burmese government if he did it.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, yeah, like, have you seen the movie? I mean, for fuck's sake, it looks like a fucking massacre there. He decided to do it as he felt it was important to bring attention to these events. And for what it's worth, this movie did. I mean...
Yeah.
The title was originally John Rambo. But Stallone didn't want people to think this was the last Rambo movie, since Rocky Balboa had come out a few years before this, and
and it was...
that was supposed to be the last Rocky movie, at least until the Creed movies.
Yeah.
First Blood author David Morrell saw the movie.
Oh boy.
He said this about the movie. I'm happy to report that overall I'm pleased.
Well, that's good.
The level of violence might not be for everyone, but it has a serious intent. This is the first time that the tone of my novel First Blood has been used in any of the movies.
That is a good point. That's one of the things that I wrote down at some point was this Rambo feels more like what it sounds like Rambo in the novel was.
Yeah. It's spot on in terms of how I imagine the character. Angry, burned out, and filled with self-disgust because Rambo hates what he is and yet knows it's the only thing he does well. Which, yeah, that's Rambo.
Yeah.
I think some elements could have been better, but I think this film deserves a solid 3 stars.
That's pretty good.
Don't know if that was out of 4 or 5, but anyway.
Plot twist, it was out of 10.
10. Oh gosh. Leonard Maltin liked it more than he did, apparently. One of the ideas for the movie was to have Rambo go to Mexico and rescue a kidnapped girl.
I wonder what they did with that plot.
This idea was later used for Taken. No, I'm kidding. Well, kind of. It kind of is, but it was used for Rambo, Last Blood,
Yep.
which is the movie we will be doing next
time. All right. Well, I guess in that case, it's Andy Griffith time.
Andy Griffith time, yeah.
Good night, you stupid idiot. Good night, you miserable slob.